Hey everybody, how's it going? It's good to see you guys. Luminous coming in hot as today's wiener. So exciting. Congratulations on this mid-August day. Hey Lisa and Jerry, Moon Angel. Hey Liplock. November Rain, we were just talking about you earlier. Hey Mimi of Six and Lori. Me and Fred were talking a little bit ago, and your name came up, November Rain. He was telling me the story of when, I guess, like you or him accidentally called the other or something. Hey, Peppermint Patty, Mimi of Six, Plant Diva. Hey, Sharon, Amos. You became a regular member. What's that mean? Now you're blue. Haha, I just ruined it. Rained on your parade. Hey, just me. Hi, Judy. I already said hi to Judy, but anyways. Yeah, let's jump into it. Let's see what was this? Somebody sent me something about like Appalachian Unsolved. What's this gonna be? I wonder. So did you guys see about this? Thanks to RJ for sending me this. It hasn't aired yet, I guess. It says on 10 News at 11 p.m., so in like 15 minutes.
In 2021, 5-year-old Summer Wells disappeared from her family's home. Now, more than 3 years later, she's still missing. So you can say you had nothing to do with your daughter's disappearance?
I absolutely can.
If we focus our efforts in one direction, we're making a huge mistake.
It's hard to see her and know that it could have been mine.
This case
Oh my God.
is one that we've just not been able to overcome.
Do you feel like you'll ever see your daughter again?
Eventually. I don't know about in this life, but eventually, yeah.
I'm surprised you didn't say in the resurrection. Oh, on Friday news at 11. Okay, so I see. Interesting. So that's something to look forward to. I mean, even though he's not going to say anything different, he's going to be sus as always, and nothing is going to happen. Hey, hair curlers and crime. So today, Here, I'll pull it up, I guess. So today you'll see an update for all those that are all our stalkers and biggest fans. It shows today that there was a review hearing on Fred's case and that it was rescheduled. Unfortunately, what this means, and he did show up today for this. All this is a way for Hawkins County to make sure that they get your money. Hold on. Let me see. Which one was I going to pull up? Oh, shit. I have to change the screening. Hold on. Okay, right here. So it shows review hearing 8:15 at 9 a.m. And then it says case rescheduled. And then it shows there's a new one on November 21st at 9 a.m. Every 3 months until the forever freaking future. This is crazy. They sure as hell make sure you get their money. You have to go in there every 3 months. You have to show up for these review hearings, okay? Which nobody told Fred he had to be at. Thankfully, like, we just decided we better go. He better go. I'm all the way up here in Indiana, but you know what I mean. We decided he better go because even though we couldn't, his probation officer, we couldn't get any answers from her. She was just like, I don't have anything to do with your court hearings. I don't know what to tell you. Oh my God. That was the Knox County probation officer. So he just shows up. Come to find out, every 3 months in Hawkins County, you have to show up to the courthouse, make an appearance. You don't even have to go for the judge. This review hearing is not even in front of the judge. It's basically you walking into the clerk's office and they looking to make sure you've made your payments, and then they reschedule you another appointment in 3 months, and they do that until you have the whole balance paid off. and it doesn't matter if you live out of state or whatever. It doesn't matter. So, but besides that, it's really good news. Everything surrounding Fred's case is now pretty much, it's all handled. He's done everything that's required, except now it's just the, of course, paying it off, the payments, and just getting the okay for him to come up here for sure. Those bastards probably hope that you don't show up and they don't tell you, because you can arrest on a violation. That's what we were talking. That's what me and Fred and some others were talking about. Yes. Somebody theorized that. Yeah, I kind of wonder that. I don't understand this, but I don't know. We're way too on. We're like 10 steps ahead. Okay, we're making sure that he gets everything handled and doing what he's supposed to be doing. No, you didn't miss anything important. Just that I was just talking about how the review hearing that Fred had today, all that is every 3 months he's going to have something that pops up on the system, on the Hawkins County court record system. Every 3 months is going to show something called a review hearing, and all that is to make sure he's making his payments. And according to the clerk lady, you have to go in there every 3 months, no matter if you're out of state or where you're at, or across the country, at the North Pole. It doesn't matter. You better show up at Hawkins County because they want to make sure they got their money. It doesn't even matter. Even if you have been paying it, you still have to show up, which I would think you wouldn't have to show up if you've made your payments. But I don't know. We'll work with it over time and see if we'll be able to arrange something with that. But for now, he'll have to be at Hawkins County every 3 months to I guess it's like just show up there, and they just say, have you made your payments? And it's like, why are you asking that? You can look right at the computer. Hey, Tina. So, and you guys can even see that. You guys can even log into the Hawkins County court records and put in Fred's name and see that he's on a payment plan and making his payments. So I don't know why he has to go in there. But they just want to make sure they get their money. I guess it's a good way to make sure. Hey, Kathy. Well, they can't trust their employees to update computer. Well, I pay. Are you the one that emailed me, Lori? Just making sure that was you. So you can pay right through the Hawkins County site. That's where we do it. Is we just go to type in the Hawkins County online court record system that anybody can access, and all you have to do, you can pull up anybody's case, and I just go right there and pull up Fred's and make the payment every month, which is just $10 a case, so just the $20 a month. Hey, Fred. Right? November rain. We're going to figure out something. Okay, so that was you, Lori. Double payments. He won't be on probation in Knox County. Like, that whole situation with Knox is pretty much over. He's now on what's called minimum security, which is a minimum security probation, which is just like it's now just a texting, a text and check it in. But that's just until he gets to where his final destination is going to be, and then once he gets there, where that is, he'll be on probation there, report there, or whatever they ask him to do there. But Knox County will be completely out of the picture event here very soon. Pretty much already are. We'll see, lip lock. Yeah, they'll do. Oh yeah, they'll do every once in a while. That's the stipulations of the probation. You'll get random drug screens. That's normal. However, since Fred's charges are dealing charges and not using charges, they do things to, if it's a using charge, they make you go to that's why he didn't have to go to an actual rehab and stuff, because he didn't get charges as a user, So, but yeah, the good thing about the house that he was in, which makes it easier for the probation officer, is that they kept up with the drug screens, you know, at that house. I know, right, Tina? So now he's just trying to kind of just be on the, you know, stay to himself until he gets the okay. No, Rena, I'm not going to let you out there because then you're just going to go out there and bark. Let's see. Is there something I can play real quick? I need to go do something for just 1 minute. Let's see. What can I play for? Infamous killer Alex gets bombshell win in family murders case. What? I want to see who too on the Matthew Perry overdose. Who was charged in that? Who's that girl? I know that woman right there. Oh, that's Miss Chewy. Oh. No, I don't want to freaking. I don't care about that. 1 month ago. Here, we'll play this for a second. Give me 1 minute.
Welcome back to Observe. In today's video, we're going to be analyzing the nonverbal communication again of the parents of Summer Wells. Okay, so find that fascinating. Immediately, we're hearing from Don, Summer's dad, as he's starting.
Okay, this is a channel called Observe. Observe. Here's the link. Tomorrow night on it's just some kind of show on Summer Wells called it's like Unsolved Appellation. Thank you, Amos. That's so sweet. Thank you guys so much. All right, here, let me play this for just need a couple minutes here.
Starting to try to set himself up against the legal system, which kind of gives us some how this case might have been progressing over the past couple of years here, as his kids were kidnapped from him by these governmental agents. In regards to that, the living conditions were found as unsuitable for kids that they had been providing. So there were reasons that the children were taken from the Wells parents to begin with, even just environmentally. Along with that, there were reports of them misusing firearms in regards to their children, and it's still ongoing. So even as I said in the last video of this video is still just an entertainment internet video. So this video should not be used on any level for a form of evidence for this case, as it is still actively ongoing, and there are many more facets that are going into it than just an internet video here. That being said, we're going to go ahead and continue on through this.
Are now few and far between. Don and Candus Wells haven't stopped praying that their daughter Summer will be found.
We have hope. always. I mean, but there's not much hope in this world. It's like, you know, we have to trust God that there's hope in eternal life in heaven.
All right, so he's saying that they have hope, and he starts having a little bit of difficulty holding eye contact there. Now, that difficulty of holding eye contact can be indicative of a few things. It could be an indicator of him having a level of psychological difficulty because he's lying. So there's that possibility, but there's not nearly enough around that to be able to say, oh, this is a possible indicator of deceit. We're also having to consider the emotional state that he would be in while talking about these things, which would be lending towards his breaking of eye contact regularly. Along with that, we're seeing a small little micro no shake in there as he's saying there's not much hope in the world. He has difficulty around that verbally as well. And then he falls into bringing in religion again, which he had done in the prior videos. Many people will use religion as a shield of sorts to be able to keep eyes off of them. After all, if a person is a religious person and they're morally upstanding, then how could they do something wrong? So there is that possibility of it being used as a manipulation point. It also does on some level just shrug responsibility of a specific scenario to an external source that can't be questioned or tried. However, Don has shown that he is a religious person, has gone to church at least a few times. And so him bringing that back in here is not something that's shocking. Again, if you saw the first video, there would be more context to that would add to that. Let's continue.
We know that she was taken off her property. We know she was taken away in a vehicle, or they would have found her in the area if she was somewhere in the area. But who's responsible for her? We don't know.
I asked Don and Candus when.
I'm gonna go ahead and pause there. It is interesting that he's saying that they know a certain number of things, and I'm not sure if that's coming directly from the law enforcement or the search teams that are going around, but he's saying we know that she disappeared, we know that she was taken, we know that she was in a car, and these are all difficult things to really prove. My question also is how can he speak so certainly on that in an area that might not be as certain? Perhaps the searches have been fully exhaustive, and there is no chance of there being like a body or something like that on the premises or in the surrounding.
He's been saying that he's been saying that since the beginning. So what has any of you guys seen this before? Hey, Jam. Like, what's this? Is this guy gonna be a big Wells supporter? Let's see.
Area. So there is that possibility, but one of my original theories around this is that I don't necessarily believe that Summer Wells' parents did anything intentionally to Summer. I'm not certain that they like sold her. Many people are assuming that it was centered around selling for perhaps drugs. I'm not certain on that, and I haven't seen any evidence that really directs towards that, and none of the footage that I've been able to track down has been centered around that enough for me to be able to get a read on. So I'm not positive on that, but what does stick out as quite likely to me, just due to the parenting patterns displayed by the Wells parents, is perhaps a level of neglect, that Summer went out into the wilderness or into the countryside there, and perhaps something bad happened and she was either severely injured or fatally injured, or she was killed in some way due to their neglect and not watching their child. And because of the circumstances around, they felt like they couldn't bring that forward or report that death because so many people would be looking at them, so they covered it up themselves. That sticks out to me as one of the more likely reasonings for this disappearance, outside of that selling or perhaps somebody kidnapping her for some reason. There are some locational difficulties that go into that don't really indicate that it could be a kidnapping, but there is still that possibility, as even Don himself has brought up here. Regardless, let's continue watching.
Candus, when was the last time they heard from investigators?
We haven't lately at all. It's been a while, over a year, I think. I haven't talked to any law enforcement at all. I tried to talk to the FBI agent about it, but that didn't go anywhere.
Don said.
Okay, so during that time, he's doing a consistent no shake. They're going from macros to micro shakes. So the smaller the movement, the less likely it is to be controlled. So with that no shake in there, we haven't seen or heard from them at all. That is synchronized with the verbal statements that he's making there. However, even in his verbal patterning, he's saying, I don't know. And we're starting to see that also slip out with the lopsided shrugs that continually have been popping in there as he's talking about this statement. So with that, I wouldn't actually believe or buy that he has not been approached or talked to or contacted by law enforcement on any level for the time that he's been saying here, even indicated by his own nonverbal communication and the verbal phrasing that he used in that sentence in and of itself. So
He's probably been contacted. He just won't talk to him. He's probably been asked to cooperate on some levels and probably just not doing it. That's probably really what's happening. Let's see. Down throughout, he owed $50K more than once. Yep. Yeah, he did. Yeah, how are you feeling, Kathy? Are you feeling any better?
Perhaps there has been more contact, and that also then just builds a little bit more towards this. The Wells family is very anti whoever else is really out there trying to help, but also demanding everybody try to help side of things. It's a complex case, to be sure. Anyways, let's continue.
Don says he feels that he and his wife Candus were targeted by the Hawkins County Sheriff's Office.
They intimidated us, they belittled us,
Oh my God.
and done everything they could amidst all the chaos. And then the CPS was there doing the same thing.
When asked about how he thinks about Summer's disappearance 3 years later, Don spoke about a Department of Children's Services investigation.
They said somebody had called and said that we was giving our kids loaded guns to play with. And so they closed the case June 14th, which is something CPS does not do. They don't just close cases. So
All right, I'm going to go ahead and pause here because we're already dealing with a fair bit of information. Not too much non-verbally was happening throughout this period, but verbally speaking, what he has already done again is paint himself against the people that he's trying to ask for help. He's saying that law enforcement was attacking them, that they were belittling them, a whole slew of things, and that Child Protective Services is also villainized during this period as well. And again, the living conditions that they had provided for the children were not acceptable living conditions for children to be raised in. Ergo, the children being removed from that environment. Now, with this accusation of giving firearms to their children, he doesn't address it outside of this little blip here. And from everything else that I've seen, it would not seem unlikely for him to have done that. Either they didn't give it directly to the children and it was just neglectful. The children found the firearms and were using them and the parents didn't care, or perhaps it was intentionally done. Neither of those two options seem...
K-12 makes going back to school easy. Forget the stress and shopping. We send you everything you need to...
Very far-fetched from the background and the history from what I was able to see from the Wells. Now, throughout this little interview here, which is, again, 3 years later, Candus never says anything in this interview. I reached out to the news organization to see if there was extended footage that I could take a look at, but I was not able to hear back from them, at least by making this video here. So perhaps there will be more centered around this specific clip, this interview. Perhaps there will be more interviews to be able to take a look at, but in this one, Candus doesn't respond at all or mention anything at all. And many people feel like that is a fairly telling thing, that she's staying completely silent during this. But there are also a slew of other interviews and clips of Candus talking to people. So I wouldn't necessarily say that her silence in this is an extremely telling factor. It is interesting, to be sure, and it does seem to indicate perhaps a level of detachment from the situation, which this would also not be the first time that we have seen this level of detachment from this case from both parents. Again, it's very fascinating. And then this last verbal thing that he says here, where CPS does not close cases, I went ahead and I dug into that and looked around a little bit. That's not true. CPS closes cases regularly. There are some forms and some systems that they go through to be able to get to the point of closing a case, but it is still closed. And then along with that, CPS isn't necessarily the ones who are in charge of closing said cases. It's oftentimes down to a judge or a legal statement saying that the case is closed. So there's some misinformation that he's presenting here as well, with CPS doesn't ever close cases. They always keep them open. Not true. So again, we're seeing Don trying to hypervillainize the people that are really largely supposed to be there for the children. And that's fascinating to me, and that this is all centered around trying to make sure that the children are okay. It's just interesting details. Let's continue.
So it's really odd and mystifying why they closed the case June 14th, and then 24 hours later, Summer's gone.
Summer's mother, Candus, sat in for part of our interview, but got up after a few questions.
She was going to try, but her emotions are just too much.
Which I don't necessarily buy that either, with
Right,
Candus
exactly.
sitting in and her emotions being too much. In the little clip that we got to see of Dawn and Summer sitting together, the nonverbal indicators from Summer were not showing any level of emotional distress. There was a slight eye roll in there. There were no indicators of emotional seepage. It didn't look like she was about to cry. There weren't any hot areas.
No, she's just all she is like she's acting bored. That's what it is. She's just like, man, I really could use a whiskey right now. I was about to say a cold one, but I don't think she even drinks beer. I think she just drinks straight whiskey or something. I don't know.
Of activity across her face, perhaps in the glabella area or in the corners of her mouth, where you might be able to start seeing some of these emotional tells start to creep out. It was fairly detached, and then there was the slight eye roll in there as well as the conversation was being had between the interviewer and the Wells parents. So Candus not speaking and Dawn saying, oh, it's because she was too emotional, that to me does feel less likely. It is messy, to be sure, and non-verbally speaking, we're not seeing these indicators that Dawn is claiming. Regardless, now we're going to move on to the assistant director of the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, the TBI, and he is speaking on the progress of the case itself. So let's watch how that is, and we'll talk about his nonverbals at the end of that.
We don't have the evidence in this case to know for sure whether or not Summer was abducted or whether or not she walked away from her home and became lost. It's really important to us to not focus all of our efforts on just one of those two.
He said whether she was abducted or whether she walked away from her house. There's more options than that. Really hope you're looking into the parents. She does look mean and mad, and she looks like, yeah, miserable.
Okay, so for this gentleman here, immediately the statement that he made flies directly into the face of what Dawn said, where Dawn's like, we know that she did this. We know that she was taken. We know that she was in a car. Immediately, the law enforcement is like, we don't know any of those things. So far we understand that at least one of the two is lying about what is known or isn't known. So with Dawn already spreading misinformation about the case and the goings on about it, it does make me start to question the validity of what he's saying in regards to the entirety of the case. But something that you will notice with his nonverbal communication here is that he is looking down regularly into the same place. That's letting me know that he does have some form of note cards to be able to reference regularly. So he'll be checking in there regularly. We'll be checking to see throughout the rest of his nonverbals to see if there's any pitch changes or any nonverbal seepages around that might be indicating something other than what he is stating very clearly verbally. Let's see.
We think that the only way we'll be successful in finding Summer is to continue to walk down both of those investigative paths to ensure that we don't become focused on one area alone and miss something that's crucially important. I would say
that's fascinating to me. Now he's saying we need to make sure that we focus on both of those options, that Summer perhaps wandered around and something happened to her in the surrounding area, or that she was abducted. We need to look at both of those options because we don't want to hyper focus on one and miss any indicators of the other. And that goes directly against what Dawn is saying. Dawn is saying, no, we know that she was taken and that she was taken far away in a car. So let's focus our energy on that, which then by contrast to hear the assistant director of the TBI say, no, we're focusing on both. To me, that counts as a red flag against Dawn. And for him to want to divert attention from the local surrounding area there seems suspicious to me. And that does still fit in with the theory that I have, the possible theory that I have of a fatality happening due to neglect. And so if that were the case, then the parents would not want further searching to be done in the local area. They would want it to go further away. Mm-hmm. So it is a fascinating pattern that we've seen across the two different people here. Let's continue.
This case is not gone cold. A cold case is typically framed up as a case where there are no tips or leads that are coming in and there are no investigative efforts that are happening because there is no place to travel with the investigation. I would say in this case, thanks to the public, we've continued to have tips and leads that have come in that agents have been able to follow up on continuously. And the agents have worked tirelessly when tips and leads weren't coming in to try to find ways to investigate when typically people would lay down their effort. It has been a great partnership between the community and law enforcement to not let this case sit and go sterile. We continue to...
All right, I'm going to go ahead and pause there. So even in this portion where he's talking about the relationship between law enforcement and the public, the community, we are seeing him break eye contact a number of times. Now, I was watching to see where exactly is he breaking eye contact to. Is it to this note card area that he seems to reference regularly? And while that is a number of times, it seems as though he's looking in that area, it is also varying around in that area as well. So we're left wondering, what is this breaking of eye contact? The breaking of eye contact and looking down into the side can be seen as shame or guilt in that vein of emotions. However, this is not speaking of something that is shameful or guilt implicative of him, then the shame doesn't make as much sense. Another reason for breaking of eye contact is to recollect, as extra psychological processing kicks in. But he does have a lot more difficulty looking up either at the interviewer or at the camera during this time while talking about the relationship between the law enforcement and the public. Perhaps there's some animosity between that. Perhaps it's not as helpful. Perhaps there have been useless tips or invalid tips of people calling in things that weren't as important or useful. There is also the possibility that that's simply where he looks to consider, to think about his words as he's speaking. There are a number of possibilities in it. None of the ones that would be more implicative fit the scenario as well as some of these more general answers do, but there's still a few minutes left. Let's continue.
Continue to focus on ground search efforts. We continue to focus on interviews of those who may have information about vehicles that have traveled through the area or technology that could have been used that may give us an investigative lead. All stones are being turned over. There's not one thing that's being done. We've been extremely creative as we've investigated this case and continue to try to find ways to turn over rocks that we didn't even know that were there to turn over. Children are our top priority at TBI. They are the most vulnerable population that we have.
Okay, so he's saying that being very exhausted. Again, there's nothing non-verbally to direct me away from what he's saying there. I would believe him that they are indeed doing their due diligence, trying to find this person. There's not really a reason for them to not want to find a missing young girl. Then he switches around and it has a cut there, and he says that children are the TBI's main focus, which...
I'm Howie Mandel, the newest ambassador of Skechers. Funny story how I became an ambassador. I went to the store and I lied and said I was an ambassador. Do I get a discount?
It can't be true. That it should be a very primary focus, especially in this case, but it can't be true. There's more crimes that go into the world than just ones against kids, and they are a crime investigation unit. So it can't be their primary focus or their main focus. And along with that, we see a little bit of a hunching up of the shoulders. That defensiveness also pushes me down that vein of perhaps it's not their primary focus, and this could just be a little bit of wordplay to be able to pander towards this specific interview that he's giving, of being like, no, it's one of our primary focuses, which that compensation does push me to consider the fact that perhaps they're not doing as overtly everything that they said or claimed that they are. Perhaps they are falling off a little bit, especially as it's been a few years and there haven't been really any solid leads for things. Perhaps that energy and the effort and manpower put towards this case has actually decreased some, and that defensiveness comes in there due to that.
They must just be limited legally in ways that they can go about it, because I could think of several things to, there's, I've seen these interrogations of people where they're really on them, drilling them for answers. Why isn't that happening here? I mean, I don't understand. They've had to have had, they have to have somewhat of a good direction of knowing where this case, or what happened. I don't believe that they're in the same. They say that they're in the same spot. I just don't. Don't believe it. I mean, maybe I just don't want to believe that. I guess.
There are a number of possibilities, but we've made note of that. Let's continue.
They're our most precious things in our world. TBI has always placed an emphasis on missing children. We've done that through multiple programs that are established here. We look for children when most people aren't. And this case is one that we've just not been able to overcome, and it's troubling. Many people have speculated what they think has happened in this case. The difficult part of the speculation is that if we as investigators speculate and focus our efforts in one direction, we're making a huge mistake. We have
you mean like thinking that Summer was taken by a bear or a wild animal? You mean that? Right. How many times were they brought in for questioning? Well, I guess they were tried. There's times that they've been attempted to. Oh my gosh. Anyway, sorry. Fred just sent me a silly message. That silly goose. But anyways, just threw me off. Now I don't even know what I'm talking about. I'm behind, but I posted this guy's video on my community which about a month ago. I like him. Yeah. Yeah, no bears, no animals, right?
We're being completely comprehensive as we investigate. And
going to go ahead and pause there. And it's an important distinguishment between what Don's approach is and what the actual professional's approach is. So Don is saying, no, we focus on the one thing. Don't consider anything else. We know it's going to be they got in a car and went far away. has to be that, only focus on that. And we're seeing here that it's being presented by law enforcement as a different situation, that can't be done because it will blind them to certain possibilities if they pop up. So that's pushing me towards authenticity again on law enforcement's part, and a level of unreliability on the Wells parents' side of things. Fascinating dynamics. Let's continue.
And being focused in one direction.
Wait, what? I walked in with laundry and Ryan was on TV saying TBI told him that locals have helped and they don't need any more info. What? That's very irresponsible for him to be saying. Unless there's proof of that. Is he literally telling people that, oh, don't call law enforcement with any type of information. They don't need any more info. They got it. Yeah, it seems really irresponsible. I understand don't call in the stupid tips like boxes with question marks, like shit like that Ryan puts out there, but or that he wanted to put out there, but PG put it out there first. Don't pay attention to that advice about not, if you have information that is definitely concrete and helpful, that would be helpful in Summer's case, obviously contact TBI, 1-800-TBI-FIND, or just email it in to their TBI tips line if you don't feel like calling them. I've done that a few times. I've sent in a few audios through email.
Is a tragedy for an investigation. So until we find evidence that points us in a direction that we know is the right direction, we'll continue to be comprehensive. We'll continue to explore every option that can be out there, and we would continue to ask for the public's help in doing so. Typically, we have a couple of agents assigned to an investigation, and that's been enough. We've had over 6,500 leads, tips and leads come in on this case. Those have all been reviewed. They've been worked. We continue to get those, and it is a monstrous task, but it's one that's not overwhelmed us. We have been strategic in the way that we've handled this investigation. We have some of our most talented agents assigned to this case, some of our most talented intelligence analysts from the Bureau assigned to this case. We have brought in subject matter experts within TBI from across the state to assist in this investigation. We have thrown everything that we know to throw at this case, and we haven't had the answers.
You might be very right, Whistle. She says they know, they just can't prove it. It makes me go someplace I don't like to go in my head. I can't think of anything that would keep them from arresting Dawn and Candus, and I don't like it. Yep. Ryan got no business telling that at all. Yeah, it's unless he has some type of a report proof. But if I would like to hear something like that, if they did say something like that, because that would be like, whoa, that would be a big deal. If they don't need any more information, then wouldn't they have an arrest? If it was my child, I would be down there every day demanding info from law enforcement. Not the Wells, though. They must be busy, right? Exactly. Yeah, too busy. I'm sorry. I'm busy. I don't have time for, my missing child today or tomorrow or ever.
We'll get them, but we don't have them today. When I see the picture of someone else, I'll see them.
Okay, so throughout all of that, he is describing all of the efforts that have been made. He's not doing anything that's straying from the baseline that we've seen within this interview or this little video clip that we're seeing of him. So during that time, not really encouraged to disbelieve anything. And then he says towards the end of that he knows that he will get these answers towards this case. And then he does a fairly telling mouth shrug in there, which is an indicator of a lack of security in what's being said. It's the same as a shrug. So to me, that is a little discouraging to see. To me, it kind of feels like there's not as much hope on his half that they will get those answers and that this might indeed shift into a cold case. Everywhere else, it seems as though they are still being quite exhaustive and expansive with their searching and their research for this case, which is good to be able to know. So let's continue. There's only a few seconds left and we'll talk about it at the end.
We don't have them today. When I see the picture of someone else, I see my daughter. And I can tell you that if my daughter was missing, I would sure hope that somebody was looking for her every day. And it brings me.
Ever wondered why you should get an LLC with a third party when you can do it all by yourself? Yeah, of course. Those companies want to make a profit. And this is the beauty of Taylor Brands. They are transparent about the.
Yeah, you should never go through a third party for LLC. I don't know. That's crazy. Anyways. There's no reason to do that. Except, sorry, I know that's off topic, but it's really easy to get an LLC. I did it myself, and you don't have to go through somebody else to do it. I don't know what takes so long for me to see my notification. Oh, sometimes I wonder when I don't see some of you. I'm like, should I contact you or not? Like, I'm not seeing Diana here. I'm wondering. See, I don't see Diana, but she probably works in the morning. She has a big girl job. I was listening to Sean Finnegan case assessment. I don't think I've watched that case at all.
Satisfaction.
Come here.
Really the concern that we don't have the answers, the satisfaction of knowing that we have the best agents at TBI that are working on this case in connection with other local law enforcement and federal agencies who are doing their best. And if my daughter was missing, all of the people that are working on this case are the people who I would choose to work on a case if my daughter was missing.
So that's the end of that. Again, when he was saying that the agents are doing their best, you see another lip compression, mouth shrug in there, perhaps a little bit of uncertainty, some negative emotion around that. Perhaps there have been, again, I'm suspecting that within the investigative units themselves, that there have been a drop off in the intensity of the searching just due to time alone. So we're seeing that non-verbally slip in there. So we're seeing, as a total, across the two little clips here that we're looking at, we're seeing a very different picture from the Wells parents as opposed to the actual law enforcement doing the searching. We're hearing two different approaches to things. The interesting funneling that Dawn is calling for, to not look in the local area anymore.
Oh, no.
Perhaps to play advocate for him. Perhaps it's because it has been exhaustively searched, and so they're pretty certain. But according even to law enforcement, it doesn't seem to be the case. They still seem to be interested and engaged in doing local searches as well as looking in a broader area. It has me asking some questions. I know that there will be some level of disconnect between the family of somebody who is missing as opposed to the law enforcement, especially as the emotional influence from within the family side of things is going to be very prevalent and very strong. That really can affect how a person's perception of a search might be going if they're not feeling.
So that channel was called, here, I'll share it one more time. It's called Observe. So now so Ryan says law enforcement has enough information and they're good to go. So I guess we can all go to bed and just, I guess that's it, right? Thanks, Ryan. Thanks for finding that truth for us, Ryan. We couldn't have done it without you. Wish you guys could see my pup right now. He's so adorbs. So adorbs. I do think that law enforcement has to have a good idea and know what actually really happened. I believe they know, like, or think, or are pretty positive, and they're just trying to find that proof that they need. But at the same time, like I've said the same thing. I've said that for a while now. So for years, it seems like. Well, because it kind of has been years. So I don't know. It can be discouraging, but gosh, me and Fred, we talk hours and hours and hours on this case all the time. And I just don't know how they... I mean, I could think of a million people to freaking go talk to and question. They need to hire me. They need to hire me and Fred. That's what they need to do. We'll solve it. We'll solve this case. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, but I do think that somebody like a local that would blend in and stuff would be very... That's why I do feel like they had somebody like Fred record and get those first days of information on recording. You guys will get her done. Yep. Yeah, what the hell is that supposed to even mean? His community post. Hold on. I don't understand it. I just had it up on the screen.
Zaxby's new chicken finger taco.
Looks like we were still able to obtain what we needed to send to TBI despite the potential interference from other YouTubers. There are now a lot of YouTubers chasing some locals, but those locals are smart enough to know that it's in the best interest of Summer's case to not share sensitive info on YouTube. Not only for the case, but also for the safety of witnesses who we don't want to disappear like other witnesses have. The TBI is on this now, so please trust them to do their job and to get to the bottom of things. What the fuck are you even talking about? Yeah, I know, the box thing. I mean, it's stupid. Come on now. Oh, let's just trust them to do their job. They're on it. Well, thanks, Ryan. What would we do without you? Thanks for telling us that. What would we do without you? With this stupid box thing that's nothing. Definitely not the way that you have made it seem, or whoever has made it seem. I would think he would think that sounds so stupid that he couldn't... I just thought he was a smart guy, like an educated man. I just am so shocked at some of the things that he goes along with. Yes, Chase is on the case. That's what it makes me say. Reminds me of Ryan hanging with PG. No, now here he's talking about, when he's talking about other YouTubers interfering, he's talking about PG. Because he was upset that she put it out, and oh no, caused problems because that was what's going to solve the case. I don't understand it. I don't understand the whole, I still don't get it. This whole theory. Oh, it sounds like people are harassing the Simpson family over the box. Oh, okay. Is that what's happening? Is people are trying to get a hold of Yeah, I haven't contacted him or tried to contact the ex-wife that I spoke to before. I tried searching for my phone call with her, and I haven't found it yet, but I haven't looked as much as I should have. But I am I think that, I don't know. Hey, Amanda. I know, right, Luminous? It's funny how fast he got the evidence he needed to turn into TBI, right? Like all it took was a couple days for PG to put something out, or like since PG put something out, now it's like, okay, guys, it's all good. I got it. We were still able to obtain what we needed to send to TBI despite potential interference from other YouTubers. Well, thanks. Thanks, Ryan, for the update. What would we do without you? He is a gullible man. Holy crap, he's like one of the most gullible men I've ever seen in my life. And the most, like, he cares too much what people think about him. That's his major detriment. He listens to the wrong people, too. But that's because his intentions are not in the right area. He wants so bad to be known. Very vain, yes. It's like he actually thinks you and Fred are going to buckle down and for the cops to come arrest you. What? What? Well, we're glad that TBI has what they need. Anything, hey, if he's really helping, if he really helps get answers in Summerwell's case or whatever, like, good, because the quicker, the better. I mean, seriously. Because I'm a million % sure Fred's not involved, and he's actually a witness of his little buddy, Andy Bernard, being on the road that day. And once it all comes out, once the truth comes out, it's going to vindicate Fred. So will you please get to turning in any evidence or whatever you have? Because also, mainly the Summer's been missing for 3 years, and it's definitely that time. It's been that time for a while. So Brown Bear, what about the Sebastian Rogers case? That's now like exactly like Summer Wells. He thinks he's going to break the case wide open? Well, he's not going to if he really is if he's focused on Fred. I'm telling him that to me, I don't think anybody with half a brain would think that Fred's involved if they knew anything about this case. And that seems to be where he's really focused. That's why I think that he is more about it, like his goals are differently. It doesn't seem like to me that he's here trying to find somewhere. It's like he's trying to instead distract away from Andy. That's what I feel like. That seems to be his main objective. Hey, Scott. Exactly. How come it takes a PG putting out a video about something that he claims that, look at him talking about it on this. Why did he have to be come out with it afterwards and be like, oh, that was actually me. It was me. And here he is updating about this stupid box again. After, just because PG put it out. Well, if you didn't want to put it out, why are you continuing to talk about it? No, you just want recognition. That's why. You're mad that you're mad that PG put out something that you felt like was yours to put out. And now she puts it out, and like 2 days later, you suddenly have, you were able suddenly to obtain what you needed to send a TBI about this box thing that supposedly you've known about for months. But all it takes is PG to make a video, and now all of a sudden you've obtained it, huh? Well, I guess good thing PG did it. Put some fire under your butt, because that should have, if it was some really important evidence, I'm glad TBI got it. Poop samples. Well, see, that's why I don't know. I just don't believe Ryan didn't come. The timing of where did he come from? Why did he just come in a year ago? You know, I just don't understand. I really am not trying to give the dude a hard time, but he is, I don't know, just weird. The stuff he does is strange. Like, where did he come from? Why is he so like buddy with Andy? Why? I don't know. I have questions. Jody poop stew. Someone asked Ryan tonight if he's going to get on Sebastian's case, and I believe his wife said no because they live too far away, like 400 miles. Huh. She has Facebook, Rhonda. Dale Terry. She just doesn't respond to anybody. I've tried to contact her. I really tried to contact her after her fallout with Candus, because I thought maybe at that point she would talk. But she would definitely be an interesting person to talk to. And I do have, speaking of interesting people to talk to, I do have, going to have some very interesting conversations with people you guys are going to want to hear from. Now that Fred has got all his stuff handled with the courts, besides just now trying, to stay out of trouble, he, there's some people that he could put me in connection with. So, and I am in connection with now because of him. So soon we're going to talk to Jamie Cox is one of them. And the other person is about, let me try to, there was somebody else. What was that about? That was about, the other one's about information on Pete Clark. That's right, Pete Clark. Well, no, that's okay. There's a couple people I have to talk to. Also, we're going to talk about Pete, like I said, just Pete Clark. And come to find out, guys, I'm finding out information about Pete Clark that he supposedly was, this is alleged, while back he was supposedly ran from town because he had tried to or he had, I don't know if he attempted or was messing with a child. And so he took off because he was afraid of getting killed. He took off for a very long time, is the rumors. And the girl was supposedly 9 years old. So this is new information. Now Pete Clark is, of course, deceased. That's probably somebody I better add to the list of, let me see. Do I have Pete Clark on my list of people that's passed surrounding the case? I don't know where I have a list somewhere of all the people that have passed. So Pete Clark, I'm gonna be talking to some people who have information on him. And he took off to Indiana. Speaking of Indiana, guys, Pete Clark is Pete and Brandon. Brandon is the one that was on that on that tour, a Beach Creek with JLR in the woods. That is Pete Clark's son, Brandon Clark. His dad just passed a few months ago or so, and they're from Indiana. And for a while, Pete had taken off to Indiana because he had got himself into some hot wire with some locals there because he got chased out of town because of messing with a child. And PG was fixed on the box in the loft of the shed. So there's some really interesting information. We started to do the interview yesterday, but it was too loud because I was out walking. So we're gonna do that soon, though. We're gonna be talking to a lot more locals, and we're gonna try to, I guess, all work together, try to figure this crap out. I don't know. Remember the tote in the back of her truck? The red tote. Yeah, there was something like a red tote with like what looked like wood in it or something. Oh, guys, I've got new information too about Andy. Shit, I totally just forgot about that. So, let me think like how I can. So, let me get my thoughts together in here with the So I was talking to a local. I'm not going to say who. I'm not going to say the person's name. Let's just call them a local. And they were talking about their daughter, who was in high school at the time, 15 years old, and worked at, I don't know the place, but well, Andy used to frequent the place and hang out there and hang out with all the kids, the young girls, all the high school girls and stuff like that, and smoke weed with them and stuff. And this is all alleged. And there's one girl in particular that he got attached to, and this was about 9 years ago. So at the time, this girl would have been about 15. Andy was would have been about 35. Okay, so he would have been about mid-30s, and this girl was 15. And he started coming on to her, and he would smoke weed with her, and yeah, he was coming on to her like hardcore, allegedly. I know who the person is too. The girl is. So trying to remember more of the story. He would go out there and sell those little kids weed and shit, smoke weed, be one of the kids, hang out, think he was all cool. He would try to convince them to do things for a little bit of marijuana. Anyways, and these were young girls. Also, I mean, I've already talked about this before, but another thing. Oh, I've been live for an hour and 11 minutes. Right when I looked up, it said an hour and 11 minutes. Andy used to, back in the day, he used to drive around Jody Sue. She never worked at the Mouse's Ear. From what we're hearing, she actually never worked there. Did she, Fred? What we're finding out is that she Andy would drive, she was doing independent stuff, and Andy drove her to different hotel rooms of just random guys that would pay for her services, and Andy would drive her to these places. He was her driver. Like I said, there's a 5-year difference. So if she was with him at 13, then like she claims that she was purchased for Andy at 13. That means he was around 18 and she was 13. Was he making money out of her and pimping her out? Is that why he was taking her to hotel room to hotel room? I don't know. Also, oh gosh, I don't know if I should say this part. Andy would mess around with her family members. I'll say that part. I'll just say it like that. Trying to remember what other parts I'm forgetting of the story, or haven't said. Yeah, her pimp boyfriend. So I don't know, but I don't know how much of it was like originally like willingly. I don't. Yeah, and I don't think that he will want to contest this information too much, because I think Andy knows that it's. I think he's afraid of the information that's going to come out, because he knows, like, once I get to knowing people in Beach Creek and talking to people that Fred knows and stuff and hearing stories, more and more is just going to keep coming out. You know, I'm going to. So I. So yeah, I'm trying to think what the woman said she had to do to keep. The mom had to tell Andy to stay away from her. I believe that's what it. And then he was still sneaking and trying to meet up with this young girl. But he would go hang out at this place and this where she was working and hang out with all the young kids that was working there at night. Like when they would all get off work late at night and they all smoke weed, and it was all like 15-year-olds, and Andy, you're like mid-30s. I know, and that's what I worry about with Summer Luminous. That's what I worry, because, you know, to hear that this is some of them, to hear all the trauma that surrounds Beach Creek and trafficking and stuff like that that's coming out, and oh shit. Oh yeah, I have another thing to show you guys too. Hold on. I need to get more organized. So okay, right here. What the hell? Okay, so this picture right here. Okay, so this picture was taken today. Or no, yeah, wait. I probably shouldn't show the. Hold on, let me I guess cross out the license plates real quick. So hold on. This picture was taken today or yesterday. And this is at Cotton Simpson sister's house. Okay, and these vehicles were out there. And remember how we talked about a white HHR? Well, Cotton Simpson's sister had a white HHR when Summer Wells went missing. And this is that sister's house, outside her house, and this was just today, or within the last 24 hours. And now there is a blue HHR sitting out there. She had a white one, and now there's a blue one. So was it traded in? Was it was it traded in for some reason? Or was the paint color just changed? You guys remember how Fred said right across from the bottom shed area where that white HHR was sitting on the 15th, 14th, and the 14th, 13th, and 12th. And there was 3 people hanging around out there. And this was right across the street from the bottom property at 110, across Beach Creek. And it was sitting there for 3 straight days. And there's a few people hanging outside, and it was a white HHR. Well, where was the first place that Don went to when he went to the property the day that Summer went missing? For some reason, Don first goes down to the bottom property. Well, he goes to the bottom property. That's right where that white HHR was sitting, like right across the street. Was there something going on in that? Well, I wonder, would there be a reason why somebody might park across the street where they were parked, and possibly maybe they were hanging out in that bottom property, but maybe they didn't park like at the bottom property I don't know. Let's see. That he went to school with her sister. Who went to school with whose sister? I don't know. I don't know if Fred. I don't know if Fred's still listening, but if you are, Fred, do you know if that YHHR was sitting there overnight too? Like was it just sat there stationary the whole time, or did it come and go? I don't know if you knew or not. Like, I know you're in and out of the holler a lot, so. Andy went to school with Jody Sue's sister. I'm just curious. It could be nothing. People changing their vehicles all the time, or whatever. It could just be completely. They change it in. What is it? Usually every 3 years or something. Oh, guys. Another thing too, that guy, you guys remember the, I'm trying to think how to pull up. Well, maybe I shouldn't, because it's personal business of Jody Sue, but I'm just saying, like, the trauma that she's been through is ridiculous. She's been sold around and passed around a lot, I feel like, when she was very young. In my opinion, allegedly, but. And one of the guys that JLR interviewed, by accidentally running into him at a stop sign, one of those people who were the bigger guy. He's a pervert and used to brag about stuff about, there's a lot of like gross stuff going on out there. Thank you so much for the Cash App to Susan. Thank you so much. Woo woo. Yeah, I don't know how much. I just feel like with Jody Sue, she's the real one put in a hard position, like in a bad, stuck in a bad position, not Andy. Andy's the one that put her in a bad position, in my opinion. But no, I feel like I do think that there's stuff that she knows that she can't say because she wants to protect somebody. Fred may have passed out. I don't know, Lisa, if that's exactly what, if it was willing or not. So I don't know if you can say pimped out, because when you say pimped out, is that sounds like she didn't have a choice or something. So, and I guess I have said it like that too, but I don't know if it was. It matters her age too. If she was underage, I mean, it's automatically not consensual or not her decision if she's underage. Was the guy? Yes. Stedman. Yes, you're right, Oreo. The guy's initials SS. Remember someone? Yes. Yes, the bigger guy is the one I'm talking about. Yeah, she did. She would have Andy drive her around after work to. Yeah. Oh, good point. Maybe that's why he was so willing to do that, Mohawk Mom. Now it all makes sense. He was acting like, we all thought Andy was a nice guy that was just going to sit there and allow Jody Sue to just sit there and talk on the internet for hours and hours. Well, he just sat there like a good boy. Maybe there was more to it. Maybe there's a reason why they wanted to stay in Wi-Fi. Maybe they were waiting on calls, if you know what I mean. The stop sign was close to where the... Oh, really? Yeah, he would drive her around. Oh, I know. I'm not giving it. I'm just saying. I go back and forth in my head about Jody Sue. I know. I'm not giving her. I'm not trying to excuse any of her BS or anything like that. I just kind of wonder some things. And also, you guys know those kids, like, they didn't ever go to, like, school and stuff. They were supposed, which my daughter does homeschool, so that, I mean, well, it's online public school. But from what I'm hearing, they didn't go to, like, school. They were supposedly homeschooled. Yep. November rain. Wasn't Andy's parents nudists? I don't know if you would call them nudists exactly or what you would call them, because they were open, we'll just say. It was normal for them to walk around naked at all times, and they would answer the door in very little clothing. So they didn't have any type of shame in that area. But yeah, I know it shouldn't be an excuse. Like, I don't know. It just makes me wonder, because I feel like sometimes I just wonder, or a lot of times I just wonder about what really, if Jody Sue really has much choice. I don't know. Does anybody know, or does her mom stay in that house? See, Fred was under the assumption that she's living in the house. I thought she wasn't. I didn't think that I thought she was in she had another house elsewhere, like. Her mom had custody? Are you sure her mom had custody? Because usually they've always been on the Andy side, like staying with, like, I don't know though. Fred's under the impression that they were homeschooled, and they did that because, what was he saying? It was she claimed it was to protect I do know they had trouble controlling both Andy Sr. and Andy Jr., if you know what I mean. Little Andy and Big Andy. They were both like extreme. I guess both of them, like Andy would go up to you and just like just hit you with a big 2x4 on your back and knock you out and think it's funny. That's just the kind of, and that's the same thing way his son is, kind of just mean, very cruel, and allegedly. So I hear, anyways. Oh yeah, you're right there, Laura Summer. That's correct. Her mom may have had custody or whatever, but whether or not they were actually staying with her mom, you know, I hear it was always the grandmother. Theta, what's her name? I can't freaking think of the name right now. Right? November Rain. You guys, oh my gosh, we're going to have so much. Me and Fred have so many cool ideas for the future. You guys have no idea. So many cool ideas for just this channel, and one day, me and Fred, maybe Athena too. Maybe we'll take Athena because she's the Ben Hill brainiac. She can protect us. One day we're going to camp out at 207 in a tent and everything. After everything's, obviously, I'm not going to tell anybody. But I thought that would be really cool. Wouldn't it? Obviously it wouldn't be live because you can't get any signal out there. But if we recorded me and Fred camping out at 207, it would have to be like a tent and everything. Oh my gosh. And we would listen all for the monkeys, the holler monkeys. I know, won't it? November Rain, I think it'd be fun. I wish we could be live. I wish there was a way to go live out there and stuff and tell ghost stories by the campfire. Because Ben Hill it's a lot of people believe it to be haunted. Yeah, she calls them littles, and they're like, her daughter's now should be like 16 or something, but she is staying out there with her. So from what we know now for some reason. I didn't think they had access to that house, though, that Jody Sue is camped outside of. Because if they did, why wouldn't she just stay in there? I was under the impression that her mom didn't want her in the house, and I don't even think anybody's staying in the house. Oh, no. You don't need a degree to homeschool. I'm reading your guys' comments. My daughter-in-law homeschools her kids. She don't have one. What's that mean? Maybe I'll go live now, and I might do some readings. But I do want to come on here and talk. So is there anybody interested in your readings tonight? If so, I'll go live on Empress Ziggy. But you better show up if you are saying you want a reading. I still say only two people know for sure what happened. One knows half of what happened, the other. Still say two people know for sure what happened. One knows half of what happened, and one knows where she's at, and four people altogether. Well, like I've always said, as long as I have the money to pay my bills, that's all I care about, you know? I don't care about having a luxurious lifestyle. That's not what makes me happy anyways. If that truly makes people happy, then why are all these famous people all the time, like these rich people, unaliving themselves? Have they released any of the names of the people that were arrested in Matthew Perry's death? Let me see. Matthew Perry death arrest, or have they not even? Five charged. Mark Garagos, attorney for one of the five charged in Matthew Perry's.
District of California, Martin Estrada, U.S. Attorney for the Central District of California, Martin Estrada, today announcing that 5 people charged in actor Matthew Perry's drug-related death. Let's bring in familiar face, Mark Garagos. His firm represents the dealer I'm talking about, known by authorities as the Ketamine Queen. Is it your client's responsibility criminally for Matthew Perry's death?
Well, I'll just give you, I'll posit you, we want to deal in hypotheticals. How do we know where the drug came from that caused the death? I've never seen a pathologist yet who's going to be able to say, I'm going to do an autopsy and I'm going to trace back where these drugs came from. They can't do that. There's no science. It's a tragedy all the way around, but that just because it's a tragedy doesn't mean it's criminal.
U.S. Attorney for the Central District of California, Martin Estrada, today.
So the underground seller known as the Ketamine Queen. So a woman, okay, so that sounds like a woman. So they go after his dealers, but for the thousands of people that die yearly, not. I want to know the names of some of these people. That's what I'm looking for. Including 2 doctors charged in Friend Star's death.
Five people have been charged in connection with the death of actor Matthew Perry, who suffered a fatal ketamine overdose in October 2023. They include a licensed physician and an alleged San Fernando Valley drug dealer who have been arrested. Best known for the TV sitcom Friends, Perry was found face down in his hot tub last year.
Law enforcement, my office, and our partners represented on this stage began an in-depth, wide-ranging investigation. That investigation...
Are you serious? One of the Olsen twins was arrested? Very early on, I heard one of the Olsen twins was called and went over there earlier that day. It does. It does help with depression, but it's very, I don't know how they can use it long term or for, it's very short acting. So I don't know how.
Has revealed a broad underground criminal network responsible for distributing large quantities of ketamine to Mr. Perry and others. This network included a live-in assistant, various go-betweens, 2 medical doctors, and a major source of drug supply known as, quote, the Ketamine Queen.
An autopsy found that the amount of ketamine in his blood was in the range used for general anesthesia during surgery.
Matthew Perry sought treatment for depression and anxiety and went to a local clinic where he became addicted to intravenous ketamine. When clinic doctors refused to increase his dosage, he turned to unscrupulous doctors who saw Perry as a way to make quick money. Without performing any medical evaluation or monitoring, they supplied Matthew Perry with large amounts of ketamine in exchange for large sums of money, charging Perry $2,000 for a vial that cost Dr. Chavez approximately $12.
Perry had struggled
Wow.
for years with addiction. The drug ketamine has seen a surge in use in recent years as a treatment for depression, anxiety, and pain. 2 of the defendants, including Perry's assistant, have already pleaded guilty to charges.
Wow.
5 people.
Really? Moon. How do you, I don't know how you gift a, how do you gift a membership? How his assistant would give him shots when he wasn't qualified to? One of the people is supposed to be Charlie Sheen's ex. Jasveen Sagnova. Some channels haven't. Yeah, they haven't gave me. I don't see anything like that. It's very possible they could be doing that. It could be just certain people or certain one, you know. Let me see here. I don't see. There you goes. There you goes. I figured it out. Here's 5 more. It won't let me pick who, but it just does random. Cool. I like all the people that got membership. So cool. It's only you can only do it on a device, like on a computer. You can't do it on a you have to go to the money sign and then hit membership gifting, and when you do that on a computer, it pops up that I had 10 free memberships to give. But on a phone, when I did it, it doesn't have that option. What, Justin, now? Thank you, Ziggy Hill, for supporting the channel. Right? Hey, Michelle Davis. Too bad it won't let us like pick who we. I mean, I like all the people that got chosen, so I'm glad. But I'm just saying, like, be cool to be able to specifically pick people, you know. Once a month. It's probably 5 a month or something. And I had them stockpiled. All right, guys. Well, I'll get off of here. If anybody is interested in a reading, meet me over on my other channel. I'll be over there here in a few minutes. But yeah, I'll let Justin know if it just has to be done. Make sure if you guys tell the person, you know, if you tell creators about it, it has to be done on a computer. Not the app. Not the app. Maybe if you pull it up through the browser on your phone, like YouTube on the browser on your phone, maybe you could do it that way, but it doesn't work in the app. You want to use your computer, and then you go down to where it shows the little $ next to the chat, where it says show your support for Ziggy Hill. You click that, and then you tap membership gifting, and when you do, it will let you know how many free memberships you have to gift. And then, like right now, mine says nicely done. You've gifted all 10 free charge, or you gifted all 10 free of charge memberships this month. So I'm glad I figured that out. Well, thank you for encouraging me to look into that, guys. Because people have tried to mention it to me before, and I couldn't find it, so I just I was like, whatever, you know. All right, guys. Good night, everybody. I will talk to you later.